I turned this in last Thursday. Just a lot that's happened since then. So I'll just tell you, it's nothing that the board needs to take action on, but it's things I want to keep you informed of what's going on. So this is our production here that we're looking at right now. Kind of a very high-use May for a couple of reasons, but one of them is we had warmer weather. We're looking at 11,270,000 gallons produced by the wells during May, of which 7,406,000 gallons of consumption registered through customer meters. This worked out to be 419,000 gallons per day produced by the wells, of which 265,000 gallons per day registered through customer meters. This is the equivalent customer consumption of 530 gallons per day per service connection at 493 connections. Unaccounted for water loss is 3,864,000 gallons, or 34% of totals by the wells. You can see how this compares with last year. It's almost double what it was last year in terms of production and consumption, because it was a warmer May, for one thing. And then you can see, because we can go back 2 years ago also, it's even more than that, where you're at 7 million gallons 2 years ago in May. So we're up quite a bit higher. I will say one of the major factors of this is that is on item number B, water system items. One commercial customer used 3 million gallons last month through a 3-inch turbo meter.
Did we know? Did he give us a advance warning?
Not that the bill was coming, but it was one of those that's down by a dock. It was severed and rubbing against the dock. So you know how much a 3-inch turbo meter is going to put out, right, Bob? Yeah.
So it wasn't planned?
No.
Okay.
No, it wasn't.
I thought
It was a leak.
It was a leak. It was a break at the end of the dock, so it was a big one. So, because Ian and I, we were reading the meter, went back, we said, is this possible? Did we make a mistake in our reading last month?
That's why the lake fills up that high.
Well, I said, because the next thing you look for is okay, if it's a 1-inch meter, 50 gallons a minute, it's not possible to put that much out. But a 3-inch turbo meter? Oh, it sure can. Those are put out a lot more water. So, anyway, they're aware of it. I've already talked with them. They fixed it actually before we found it. They must have found it somehow. So, because it wasn't moving when we read the meter. So we thought, this is strange. But
well, that'll be some good income, over 5,000.
Well, supposedly he was going around reading the meters every day.
It should be.
No.
Which marine are you talking about?
that's the same customer that we had that lost 4 million gallons over the winter that paid his bill.
Oh,
Okay.
well, he's not having a good month or two.
Okay, and I will mention on that one that for that 4 million gallon leak, they've hired a leak detection company who could not find it. They believe there are many leaks. They may have to ultimately replace their service line between the meter and their hotel, kind of a thing. So they've spent a lot of money on it, and they have paid their bill too. So,
Not sure whether it was half, wasn't it?
what's that? I know. I think it was full.
The entire thing.
Entire
Was
thing.
it? Okay.
I just thought it was really, oh, well, I see, yeah, even if you adjust down that 3 million off of what went through the meters, we still have a lot more
Yes.
going through the meters
Yes.
and more, yeah.
Yep, we sure do. Okay, and of course the area is growing. So first of all, are there any questions? Well, I kind of jumped into B. There any questions on the production report beyond that? If not, we'll move down to B again. This is we're on number 2. Our cover number 1 about the one commercial customer used 3 million gallons last month. Yes.
Hey, Bob.
Yes.
I have a quick question. I don't know if you're getting to it. Is on your, you guys were talking about your chlorine issue that you ran into some shortages, right?
Yeah, I could address that now because I didn't. Let me see if I put it in.
Oh, no, you do. You have it there. I'll wait. Sorry to interrupt.
Yes. Okay. Number 2, 15 new meter installations occurring at this time. Most of them are in. Since I've been here, we haven't even put half of those in, I think, in the 4 years that I've been here. What's happening is a lot of them is just individual lots like Terrace Drive, other places where you didn't even know lots existed. They almost look unbuildable in spots. And they're all going in. So as we'll get, Colleen, as we'll get to the budget, we'll see that yes, we have higher expenses, but we're also getting income to cover all that for everything going in. So that's the good news, is we're getting income to cover that. Okay. Here's another one that we discovered as a part, and Kyle, you can interject on this as well because we did this together. Planning out, for future facilities plans, we had to locate our water and sewer lines around town, primarily Acorn Drive, Lime Kiln, Perimeter, and then also in Farragut State Park. So that was about 2-day job that we did to get that done. But as a part of the process, we found some things that we didn't know existed. And I've already talked to you about this, Colleen, but just below the water tower and before the first connection on Highway 54, as it heads down the hill, Hudson Bay Road, we found a vault, about an 8-foot vault that has a meter in it, and then the 8-inch line coming out. It looks like there may be some kind of a pressure relief valve, and it may be connected to that house that's right there somehow. But the reason I bring this to our attention, it's in an easement that's been overgrown for 80 years, so somebody would actually have to physically make the effort to wade through the trees and find it. But it is something I would like to, one of the things I would like to deal with this year is the cover on it, it's flush with the ground. The cover is like basically a plywood top with metal over the top. If somebody steps in it, they're going to fall through. So I would like to see before wintertime, I'd like to see it dealt with. I mean, yes, nobody's fallen through it so far. But it's nice that it's a good location for us to be able to have a meter because we can actually see what's being pumped in the tower and what's coming out. The problem with that is that we probably would have to replace that really, really old meter sometime in the downtime of the season because we're basically shutting everybody down to do it. We'd have to make some pretty good plans and make it fast because that's the one line in and out that goes to everybody.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's good that it's there. So,
Well, I told you when we talked about it,
Right.
that map, that
Mhm.
first map I got from the Navy, that I
Yeah.
said to you, and said, wow, what in the heck
Yeah,
is this?
yeah.
There's nothing over there,
Yeah.
and I just thought, whoever drew the map just,
right.
enlarged the one down
Right.
below and put it there, but
Right.
that's what it
Right.
is.
There's 2 meters there now.
No, there's one meter in that particular vault right there.
How does it measure in and out?
Well, you'd have to go down there and read it. But at this point, I wasn't ready to pull that roof off and have it fall apart on me to get down there and see. I just opened up enough to see that it was down there.
Now, how could it measure in and out? So that
It doesn't measure it. Now, what I'm saying is you could tell by your well meters what they're producing. And then when it gets to that meter, you could see what's going out of there doesn't line up with what the wells are producing. That way it would tell you how much of a leak you have in your system in there, which would be good information for us to know.
Yeah.
But that meter's not going to be accurate. It's probably,
Yeah.
who knows, if it's from 42, we don't know.
It's old.
It's very old. Yeah, I'm
Document
sure it's
I
not
got
working.
was the
Yeah.
original assignment.
Yeah.
I mean, that was.
Right.
You think of a pressure relief valve or pressure regulator valve?
No, it looks like a relief valve because you also got that cast iron body.
It's down low.
It's down low though, yeah,
Yeah, pressure relief should be up at the high
Right.
point of the line.
right, but it's down low. It's underneath the vault. See, the other thing too is that's not insulated. I think because it's an 8-inch line, we have so many leaks, it's never frozen. So we need to have some insulating value in that because there's none. As a part of this process going down these, we discovered where I believe the 2 of the 3 lines go to the Navy. There's a PRV vault farther down the hill, Ted. I think I can show it here. I'm sorry I can't show everybody.
Well, yeah, there's a PRV valve right there at the.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right there.
The PRV valve, this line, this right is roughly right here where I found this vault right here. Goes down the hill here to this PRV. So there's 2 things that happen with this PRV. One is there's 2 lines that come out on both sides of this PRV. Two come out. Actually, it's one going in here. Another one comes out, as I explained to Colleen, and runs it back up to the Navy maintenance yard.
Yeah.
And I think it's going through a PRV, Bob, because they think it's too high a pressure. So it's probably a 6-inch line going up here, my guess. Then they have 2 lines going down here on Hudson Bay Road. One joins up with Hudson Bay Road this way. The other one goes across to the Navy. So that's what we discovered. I've marked it all out there so we've got T-posts and things like that. But I couldn't mark the last 150 feet for Kyle because it's just straight down and there's no place to mark because it's just branches. It's rappelling type stuff. So anyway, that's what we found as a part of that. We were able to locate all up in through here where we needed to. And Kyle, you can comment on this as well. The problem is when we turned the locates in, only Zipley, which used to be Frontier, came out and located a couple of them. None of the others would show up. They said, forget it. It's too much work. It's a design project. Do you want to comment at all this time, Kyle, on that?
Yeah, now's a good time to bring that up. Okay, so with that being said, there's always risk in not having properly located utilities when you're in the design phase, right? Because let's say, you're putting a water line in and then you find out there's fiber optic or something that's 2 feet off of it and we never planned for it. So our job as engineers is to try to get as many of those facts lined out on the plan so that, one, they're accounted for in the bid, and two, they're planned for in the design. Now, one of the things we're running into, like Bob already indicated, is we don't have a lot of the utilities located out there. But I will say the good news is we know the sewer, because that's going to be a big driver. That's going to dictate our separation requirements from non-potable to potable. So I think where we're kind of at is I don't think we can expect those utility companies for communications and fiber to come out there and locate them. Their response was pretty, go kick rocks to us. So at this point, what we're going to do is when we have our kickoff meeting, I think we can discuss this in further detail, and the district can kind of decide how we want to tackle this. This doesn't really change anything for our 30% design phase. I'll put it that way. It does and it doesn't. I think we can continue to make progress and proceed as is, but I think there is some risk associated with it. We can vet out further in our 30% design review meeting.
Let me add to that something today. I talked with Bob Chandler, who's the head of the Kootenai County Utilities Commission, about that today, why they didn't show up. And he says what they're proposing right now for design projects is that locators, instead of having 48 hours, have 10 business days to get it located, to give them time. So he said they're pushing for that to allow for, because again, design is not necessarily breaking ground, but it needs to be done. And they're trying to push that through. So I just wanted to give you that update there, Kyle, as well.
Okay,
Just
cool.
This morning. Anyway, good.
Great.
Okay, moving down the list here, and Colleen, you know about this one too. You seem to know a lot about these things in advance, don't you? Because I said, I want Colleen on the water. Okay. Basically last Thursday and Friday, especially Friday morning, we had 4 crews going on different things around here. This was one of them, the Dromore power outage power pole torn down. On Thursday night, some of you know they're doing some logging up here above Cape Horn Road. And so as they were doing it, the logging crew got a little too aggressive, and they snagged the power pole next to the Dromore Reservoir and sheared it off and cut out the power. Well, I got the call from the owner of the property, basically stating, you know what? I think not only you snagged the pole, I think you pulled your 6-inch transmission line up to the reservoir. And so, needless to say, we're scrambling on that one to get up there. But what it turned out was they did not pull the main. It was because the power was out, the controls remembered, oh, I'm supposed to be pumping now. And it just kept pumping, so it was overflowing the reservoir and getting down there. So we were able to, because it was cooler weather, it's a small reservoir, 11,000 gallons, but we were able to turn the pumps off overnight until the next day when they got Kootenai Electric out, and we were able to restore it. Or I turned it on by hand before they did to make sure we stayed in water there. And they made the repairs there.
People still had water?
Yes. Yeah, so we made sure we kept in water. The other thing that was going on at exactly the same time when I was calling the crew out to repair the 6-inch main was they're installing a meter down here 2 water and sewer connections down here in our Lime Kiln booster station. I said, guys, get ready to head out. So when I found out what it was, I called immediately and said, finish your job, kind of a thing. So anyway, on Friday, we had that going with Kootenai Electric and electrician. We had Dan Lincoln's crew doing 2 water and sewer connections at the same time. I was going around on B&B Sandy Services, checking out the commercial lift stations to see which ones have more than 40% floods and need to be pumped. And Bigfoot is replacing antennas. One antenna that was bad for our SCADA that was giving us problems. So it gets pretty busy, but that's why you have good crews working with you to make sure things happen and try to coordinate them all.
It's getting harder to get crews out, though.
Yeah. Well, I think too, though, the ones we work with, they're dropping things to do it.
Yep.
I've got the ones that I know, and in fact, it happened again yesterday at another one out of Cape Horn Estates. We had lost the pump was down. It turned out to be a fuse, but yet at the same time, I'm calling and saying we're in the air, we're coming now, kind of a thing, because we don't want. The idea is, as you know, Bob, we discover problems so the customers don't.
Right.
That's the idea. We feel scrambling; they have no idea what's going on. So we like to keep it that way.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. Okay, as a part of this, as I mentioned, that Dan Lincoln's crew was installing the 2 water and sewer connections down on Lime Kiln right next to the booster station. And Kyle, you're welcome to interject on this, but what we were looking at is, okay, it might be less expensive for them because where the connection is where the line goes out to the Cape Horn Estates. That's our HDPE 8-inch line, and we have the 6-inch line that runs around here in town. But that's on the other side of the road. So we thought, well, maybe we could go into the Cape Horn Estates line. It would actually get better pressure up there. And so as we're analyzing it, remember, Kyle, you and I went into the pump house, and let's look at the static pressure and then see what the pressure does when the pump goes on. We want to know if they're going to have a PRV on there. When we went in there, and the static pressure at that time was 85 psi. When we turned the pumps on, it went to 145 psi. And so I decided, you know what, for those people up there, I don't know about you, Bob, how many PRVs are going to handle that kind of pressure differential if we hook them up there? So we decided to take them across the road a little farther to the 6-inch main where it's 72 psi. They should have 50 to 60 up there where they're at, rather than having to deal with this huge surge in pressure.
Yeah.
So that was interesting to note that. And Kyle, I think you might want to comment at this point. How is this going to affect, as we're looking at possible expansion up there when those pumps come on, taking that kind of pressure up to those homes up there on, Limekiln and the Cape Horn and the Dromore area?
Yep. So we did evaluate that. They will be operating at a much higher pressure in that area. And what we plan for is putting individual PRVs on those sets.
Now, the question is, can the PRVs handle that kind of a pressure differential between static and when the pumps come on?
So those pumps will be maintaining a set pressure, so there won't be as much of a swing. So that
You're putting drives on them?
yeah, it won't drop as much as it is going out to Cape Horn there.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
So Kyle, I guess, are you planning on putting on, if we're getting new pumps out, are you planning on putting drives on them to keep it a consistent pressure? Is that the idea?
Yeah, the new booster would have VFDs on it, correct?
Okay.
Would the 145 pounds of pressure on that Cape Horn line be enough to push it up on the 10-inch
Oh, absolutely.
And-
The problem is the spiking
with-
it goes to static. Yeah.
without a booster station?
Well, you can't have that much pressure on a distribution line, 100 psi is max.
Okay, but aren't we going to have to put a booster station up at Dromore? Isn't that what the talk was?
No.
Kyle, you can interject on this point. We're trying to figure out, even with a drive on, how much of a consistent pressure will we have, and would it be too much pressure, and especially down at the bottom of Limekiln, even with PRVs on those?
Jumping the gun. We're jumping the gun. We just got survey done. We'll get you a lot more details
Okay.
in the coming months.
All right. Okay. Sorry to jump the gun, but
No, you're fine. No, I appreciate the questions. It's warranted, but we'll get it figured out here in the next couple months.
That's good. I wanted to bring it up because we're always consistent thinking of one pressure. It was the static pressure. We need to consider those are the pumps putting out 340 gallons a minute and what it does to pressurize the lines. So
Yeah.
the point is we go with our eyes wide open.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, when we were considering that before, we thought the pressure coming out of the Cape Horn was 125.
Or, yes, 105 or something. It varies, but also it varies some depending on the tank levels and the usage that's going on in the summer too. That can also vary up there. Okay, the next item actually is on the main agenda, so maybe we could just cover it then. That's the 2020 annual water quality report.
Okay.
So we'll skip on down to the sewer system. We're about to get that started. We finished our weather, I think, Bob, and we can go over that. Looking like we're coming up probably July to get that going.
July 1, hopefully.
Yes. Okay. That's kind of actually moving into DD sewer maintenance items, depending on weather and saturated ground. We're opening the sewer treatment site. Now, keep in mind when I put in number 2 here, one septic tank pumped last month. That was until the point that I actually did this report last week. I think we've done, Jesse? I think 3 or 4 just in the last week it came up. So, it jumps around.
Other than the commercial?
Other than the commercial,
Okay.
yeah, it's ones that needed it or had problems or hadn't been done in 20 years, kind of thing. So, so what I try to do is go with when I say in the last month, I'm referring board meeting to board meeting to keep it straight. So those I'm just telling you about right now, I mean, I can get in there because of that. So, and as I mentioned on here, all the main commercial lift stations have been checked and will be pumped as necessary prior to the 4th of July weekend. When I say main ones, McDonald's has 20 of them, but they're individual cabin ones. We're not doing the individuals. We're looking for the ones that have multiples going in, where there'll be multiple people coming in to the lift station. So that cuts out quite a few of those. So what we're doing is we're looking, and Bob, you can comment on this too, is that if it's more than 40% sludge, it's time to be pumped. Is that if that's the figure you typically use too?
Yes,
Is okay, 40%.
anything below 60%
Right.
usable.
Right. Okay. So we're coming up with a plan on that with B&B Sandy Services, as well as plans for, once again, pumping the Navy's large 10,000 gallon tank, because it had not been done in 20 years. We did it, we gave them enzymes to treat it because you can't break up 20 years of solids. So we've given them enzymes, hopefully it's dissolved some more so we can pump it again. But we have to get it back to its original capacity because we don't want